Welcome back to JB Reviews. As you guys know, or maybe you don't know, there were some photos released from Cummins or somebody, and they were taken down, and I was able to snag one here. And I want to show you guys, this is on a forum that I found this on. I have my buddy Truck Stuff with me, Master Tech. The best. The best.
I don't want to go that far.
Hey, talk yourself up. You know what you're talking about here.
I know he's going to stitch this photo into the video, but there it is.
Yes, there it is. That is a new Cummins, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the new Cummins. That's an early release picture, so we'll see how bad they manipulate that when they go to actually put it into the truck.
So here's my first question. I want to start off with the CCV because that was the first thing I looked at. I saw a 6.7 liter turbo diesel. So we now know, and it's confirmed, it will not be a 7.2 liter. That's okay.
Oh, I think they're playing it smart here. I think that they've found some untapped potential in the 6.7.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue development of the 7.2 and keep it in their back pocket for when, you know, the power numbers really start going against the Ram brand again. Yeah. And when that happens, like they've always done, they let Ford, they let Chevy go a couple years and claim the title, and then they come around and go, Yep.
Yeah, they were first to get to 1,000 pound-feet of torque, right? So, yeah. But yeah, so CCV looks like it has a new design, and I saw on the side there the oil canister. So it's not at the bottom on the passenger side.
Spin-on filter no more. It's a canister style filter.
Which is, I mean, hey, well, I don't want to give an opinion on that because it looks like it's pretty deep though. Doesn't it look like it's a little deep?
It looks like it's going to be just as big of a filter material that spin-ons is going to be. Yeah. But, you know, it's back to the basic of don't change something that's broken.
I agree with that.
They're not broken.
Yeah, most guys know how to get that twist on off easily. But I will say,
I had to buy a $15 cap to go over the filter so I can pull it through the wheel liner. Big deal. Yeah. Now I will say, for guys that do hot shot and they do their own maintenance, that might be a huge plus for them. So maybe Ram was thinking for the consumer side of things, people who do a lot of work, you know, on the road, and boom, that's an easier design maybe. I don't know. You know, there has never been an engineer that has thought about the mechanic or the average person. There has never been one. In fact, there's the running joke that a mechanic had slept with an engineer's wife, and that's why we have such a hard time working on these things.
Yeah, and you know what? That might be possible because they did put a plastic twist-off cap on there too, so go figure. Yeah.
The fuel filter cap has been plastic for a very long time, and I'm sure the aftermarket companies are going to take about 10 minutes to come out with a metal cap for these. Yeah. Now, as far as the heads go,
they were cast iron on 2024 to 2019, and before that, you had cast iron block end heads. That looks like aluminum here. Yeah. What do you think about aluminum? No. I mean, aluminum should help with temperature, right? I mean, isn't aluminum do better with heat?
Yes, it does do better with heat, but the problem is when you mate two dissimilar metals together and you put them through a heat cycle, the expansion and contraction rates of the aluminum and the steel are different. Now, the separating material in between those is your head gasket. And it doesn't matter what clamping force you get from your head bolts, you're still going to have two expansion and contraction rates that are different, causing the metals to do this. So I don't know if we're going to see more head gasket failure out of this design, or hopefully what I'm hoping, and by this picture we see a redesigned water pump, that maybe they have changed the water flow through the head to help dissipate the heat, especially from cylinder 3 and cylinder 6. So all we can say is let's hope. Let's hope and pray that the aluminum head doesn't pose any additional problems. Okay. But I do know that from, especially through the, you know, the 90s, where you ended up with all of the car manufacturers running aluminum heads on a cast iron block, head gaskets were pretty much part of a maintenance routine. Every 80,000 miles you had to change head gasket before it got really bad.
Yeah, as far as the timing housing goes, that looks all new too. Anything to say there, or you just don't have an opinion until you see one torn down?
I hope they finally took the timing housing and O-ringed it instead of a paper gasket in there.
Oh, that's a good idea.
There's a couple aftermarket companies that are offering a timing housing that is O-ringed, but they're still in process of getting fitment correct, especially for the harmonic balancer.
Yeah, you taught me about, this is the harmonic balancer right here, right?
Yep.
So I always thought Cummins didn't need those because of the inline six design, but I guess, is this the only balancer they have on this engine, or is there more?
Yeah. So on an automatic, you have on the back of the engine your flex plate and then your torque converter, and the torque converter is balanced.
Okay.
So there is a balancing of the rotating assembly through there, and even on a stick shift, you have a flywheel that's balanced.
Gotcha.
You have to have it. You can't have a non-balanced rotating assembly. And the reason why they weigh so much is to help with dampening the individual cylinder shock of the firing order, to help smooth out so that you don't feel each individual cylinder firing.
You had a opinion. I'm going to give my opinion on the Bosch CP4X. Here's my thing. I had a 2019. I never had an issue with my CP4, and maybe I got lucky.
You got lucky.
Okay, but here's my thing. I run fuel additive. I keep my fuel system lubricated, and I did a lot more so with this truck because of the CP4. I had a first generation. I think they went to a CP4 2 or something like that. And yeah, you want to pause real quick? Or okay, yeah, I went to a CP4. They went to a CP4 2, I believe, in 2020 or 20. Well, they went to a CP3 in 21, and then in 22 on they had the CP3, and now this is the CP4X that they're going to. So the diesel standards here in America are totally different from Europe, where Bosch is actually a company in Europe, and that's why the CP4 is reliable there but not here, because we have the lesser standard. We have ultra low sulfur, which is less lubricants for the diesel.
Ultra low sulfur is anything less than 20,000 parts per million.
Yeah,
I believe is what the number is on it. Might be 25,000. I can't remember exactly, but what we're more specifically looking at there, because the sulfur is something that harms the environment. It's nothing to do with the quality of the fuel. The cetane level is what it's a number that is very similar to an octane rating on gasoline. And our fuel here in the United States is far less. Okay, this is going to get technical for a second. So, for those of you that don't know, BTUs is a British thermal unit, and it's the measure of the amount of heat generated from a measured volume. In order to get, specifically with diesel fuel, in order to get the combustion rating from the fuel itself, the cetane helps with the ability for that measured amount to produce the maximum efficiency of that fuel. So here in the US of A, our cetane rating is right around a 30.
It's terrible.
Over in Europe, it's over 50, which means, to put it into some people's perspective, here in America, our gasoline at altitude is roughly what, 85 octane, 87 octane, and then you get to sea level, it's going to be 85. So running,
I'm sorry, it's the opposite. I'm sorry, out here is 85, 87 at sea level. Yeah, excuse me, yeah.
So a cetane level of 30 is equivalent to running an octane rating of let's say 82.
Yes.
It's terrible. A cetane level rating of 50 is like running 101 octane racing fuel.
And I think they say at what 57, that's the highest level of cetane that you need before it won't really benefit anymore too.
Right, and you're not allowing that measured amount of diesel fuel to give off any more energy under combustion process, right? So let's look at it this way. Part of the problem here in the US of A, why we have to have all of this after treatment stuff on our vehicles, is because we're catching unburned fuel. Now, if we were to have a fuel quality high enough to where the internal combustion process of the engine could utilize more of that fuel and its ability to produce energy, then they wouldn't have to have all of the after treatment stuff on there to handle the fuel that didn't get to properly burn and produce its energy storage capability. So that's also why the primary vehicle or fuel choice in vehicles in other countries is diesel. I mean, I've been down to Mexico a few times, and there's a lot higher percentage of vehicles that are diesel versus gasoline. We're talking about little cars running around the road and stuff. You go over to Europe, and almost all of those vehicles are diesel.
But why is that?
Because their diesel burns cleaner than gasoline.
And they get 50 miles to the gallon on some of those small cars too.
Exactly. And because they have a cleaner diesel fuel with a higher cetane rating, those cars don't have to have $20,000 worth of after treatment crap on them to clean up from all of this crappy fuel that we run here in the US of A.
Yeah. And listen, with that being said, I think that's where, if you're going to be afraid of the CP4 pump, you're gonna have to run an extra fuel additive that's gonna raise that cetane level. I go to Costco to get my fuel because I believe when I spoke to someone there, they said that they typically stay around 40 to 45 cetane level with their diesel. And there's other places, like when I was in Maryland, southern states, they run a premium diesel, which is 50 cetane minimum. So do your research on that. Last thing I'll say too, you know, with this new Cummins, obviously this current generation of Cummins we're sitting in right now, the exhaust rake is amazing. So I'm hoping that with this new 8-speed behind it, and with some of the updates, we did some updates to the turbocharger that we heard. They updated it to external injectors, for example. Hopefully a lot of these updates do not affect the exhaust rake for the worse. And the way that I think Ram tunes their transmissions, I think that they automatically downshift when you tap the brakes quickly. The other two, you have to tap it 5 or 6 times, and eventually it'll start to, go down to a lower gear. But with this exhaust brake, hopefully it gets better. Having the cast iron block now, we should see a little bit more reliability there. It's going to be a little bit heavier, but it's going to be more durable for a diesel engine, and that's what we need. But yes, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, bro. Good stuff. You taught me a lot of stuff about cetane, BTU, all that good stuff with the diesel. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on that too. Peace.